Good evening, Niner fans. How are we doing? How are we feeling? It's a little late for some. Thursday night. It's the 30th of March, and we're here live. How the heck are we doing? It's always better late than ever. I feel like I can never manage my time sometimes. I just got so many things to go through on a day with work and everything. But here we go. It's always better to be late than never. But how are we feeling, ladies and gentlemen? Let's just get down to business. Let's talk about the quarterback situation as we always do in the offseason with the 49ers. There's been some certain comments around the league with the 49ers. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are, dividing the quarterback room. You got three of them. You have Trey Lance, you have Brock Purdy, you have what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan said. We know everything they said. And then there's Sam Darnold, the X Factor. To me, he's an X Factor. That's right. Half of my face cut off. Well, are we good now? Is my face are we good? I don't know. Let's go ahead and talk about this situation. So I want to get your guys' pulse on Sam Darnold. Like, where does he stand? Because there's a lot of people are saying he's dog trash. He's terrible. I saw someone comment today on one of my posts that said Sam Darnold shouldn't get first team reps. First team reps. He shouldn't get it. Right? He shouldn't get first team reps. Okay. And then there's people that are saying Trey Lance is terrible. They should trade him, right? Something has to give. Something has to give with this with not just fan base, but this 49ers team, right? We all know, like Kyle Shanahan said, that if Brock Purdy wasn't hurt, this would be an easy decision. But he's hurt. He's coming off of a torn UCL. He had surgery, and it complicates the matter again. So we're gonna have a battle this offseason to see who can start in place of Brock Purdy. And that guy is going to have a golden opportunity. And that's Sam Darnold and Trey Lance. That's the battle we have to talk about, not Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy. We already know where they stand on Brock Purdy. But the true battle right now is Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy. And that begs the question, is Sam Darnold good enough to start for the 49ers? Can he beat Trey Lance? Can he actually beat Trey Lance? Because there's a lot of people that say, well, Trey Lance, he doesn't deserve, or Sam Darnold, he doesn't deserve the start, right? He doesn't deserve a chance. He's terrible. If he's that bad, then Trey Lance should be able to beat him in his sleep. I think it's good. Trey Lance said he doesn't want competition, or he doesn't want the job handed to him. He wants competition. He doesn't want to go out there and have his hand held, right? He wants to go out there and earn it, earn that spot. And that's what Kyle Shanahan did. He got this guy, Sam Darnold, who obviously he hasn't panned out in the league. It's a number 3 pick in the NFL draft. He's 25. But Kyle kind of gave him some positivity and say, hey, look, he found himself in bad situations. He found himself in a bad team, bad coaching, no weapons. He's coming on here to the 49ers to come out and compete. He wants to have a renaissance of his career. So I think this is good. I think the fact that he's getting first team reps could be valuable for Trey Lance because it's going to push him. Now there's the people that say, well, if Trey Lance needs the reps, which he does, he needs the development. He needs to get all the first team reps. But again, if he can't go out there and beat Sam Darnold, then should he be the starter? So he should easily beat Sam Darnold. And again, what happened last year was we had quarterback injury, quarterback injury, quarterback injury. Happened many years before. We have a lot of quarterback injuries over the years. So then the 49ers, they said this year, we're going to make sure we have 3 quarterbacks that we like that can start this on this team and win games. So Sam Darnold needs first team reps, right? He needs first team reps to go ahead and in case of an injury, in case of worst case scenario, because with the 49ers, worst case scenario sometimes happens, more times than we'd like it to happen. In case, he needs to make sure he knows the offense. He needs to go out there and be able to have good, rapport and chemistry with these, Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and them. And again, also for Sam Darnold, if he can't figure out this offense in training camp by giving him the first team reps, then he shouldn't even be out there anyway. So it is going to be an interesting battle. Trey should come out, and I agree with Ignis. He says it's Trey's job to lose, right? It's Trey's job to lose. I agree. Right now, he should be better than Sam Darnold. But we also have to remember, okay, Brock Purdy's coming off a major injury, a really big injury, a bad injury. We don't want we don't know the certainty of Brock Purdy and his status when he comes back. Will he be able to throw the same? Will he be able to have the same, mindset? Again, he was amazing last year. Took us on that magic carpet ride. Well, we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. But Trey Lance has a lot of uncertainty too. He's coming off a major injury. He hasn't played a lot, unfortunately. He needs to go out there and get the chance to prove himself. He had a lot of injuries, over the last years. But last year was bad. He broke his foot. That's a major, major injury. So he's not just coming back with the pressure to win the starting job. He's not just coming out with the pressure to say, yeah, I want to retake the starting role. I want to prove that I'm the guy. He's not just having pressure to show he's gotten better over the last year or so. He's got to come back and actually be able to step on the field and play and go through his rehab. He's going through recovery and rehab right now. So he's got a lot of pressure on his plate, right? So right now the 49ers are telling us Brock is, the franchise. He's the future quarterback. And obviously he should be right now. It is his job to lose, in terms of all three of them. And I agree with what they said, based on his body of work. It was 8 games. It was a small sample size. So again, it is kind of a quick decision by this team, but they want to win. You got that window, that win now window, and you got to realize that they found the quarterback that they think they can win with. They haven't been able to do that with Trey. Of course, there was injuries. There was other reasons over the years. We've talked about them a lot at nauseam. I'm not going to repeat all that stuff, but obviously Trey Lance, he's still got to figure it out. He's got to develop, and maybe they don't want to develop him. Maybe last year was going to be that developmental year, or it was supposed to be his season where Trey Lance goes out there, sink or swim type of thing, and then you see what you have in him. But obviously they found Brock, and he's their guy. They're hanging all their hopes on. But again, it was 8 games. We don't know how he's going to be with the injury. But again, we don't know how he's going to be with the injury coming off of, a broken ankle. But again, going back to the big theme of today is Sam Darnold. He, to me, is the biggest X factor. So yesterday, or actually not yesterday, but a couple days ago, there was something, obviously Kyle said they're going to compete. They're going to go through training camp and split the ones. And Ian Rappaport said some things that was a little interesting. Let's see if I have this said. Let me see. Let's see. Maybe where was it? Let me find the. Oh, here it is. No, that's not the one. Hold up. There it is. Oh, sorry. I have a whole bunch of these saved. Let's see. Okay, so basically, obviously, we know what happened, right? Ian Rappaport says that we don't know what Trey Lance is going to be if he continues the trajectory he's been on. This was Tuesday on NFL Network, right? He goes, and I think certainly it seems Sam Darnold will more likely than not be the starter going into the season, but there's an opportunity for someone to step in there and start the first couple of games in the regular season for the 49ers. So he was kind of making a sound that, yeah, maybe Sam Darnold gets a shot. Maybe he's going to be the guy. Maybe he'll be Trey Lance. Trey Lance has to go out and beat Sam Darnold. Again, it should be easy for him, right? And one thing, and then this is what Shanahan says. He goes, I think Sam has played and done some really good things in the league. He has won a ton of games and been thrown in some situations where you're going to keep both teams in the game because you got to keep slinging the ball and give your team a chance to win. And so you don't always have the best stats, but you see the ability, and he's always had that ability since his first year in college when we started watching him. And there's no reason he can't do that. So I feel like, obviously, they're going to give him some, praise because they bring him in. They want to be positive and look out positive. And then you had George Kittle today where he says Trey Lance, he has all the ability in the world. He needs the opportunity, and he kind of sees it as Trey Lance, he has so much talent, but he got to go out there and prove himself again. And he says Sam Darnold has some talent out there. I really feel like this team thinks that Sam's going to go and push Trey Lance. And if Trey Lance takes this opportunity and really uses it as fuel, he should be able to go and beat Sam Darnold. The ball is in Trey Lance's court. Right? It's in his court to go out there and go ahead and beat Sam Darnold. I think he can. I think he will. But again, I don't think Sam Darnold's coming in here to just lay down and hand the ball over to Trey and hand the position to him. I think he wants to, have a renaissance in his career. Kind of like a Trubisky or one of those guys that comes in and he gets to prove himself. So again, I don't think that we should take Sam Darnold lightly. It sounds funny, but I think he's going to come into this training camp and really put his best foot forward. And he's going to give Trey everything he can. And again, I feel like Trey Lance has a golden opportunity to show, hey, man, I'm better than the guy that you brought in to be the backup. I'm not his. I'm better than him. I'm 100% better than him. This is why you drafted me. And it should push him. It should push him to take that leap. And then, start of the season, Brock Purdy comes in, right? And maybe he's not ready. Again, we don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1. We don't know if he's ready for week 4. Maybe they don't want to rush him. Maybe they're like, let's see what Trey has. Because they did put in a lot of stock to get him, right? They traded all the draft picks. We all know that. So maybe they say, okay, let's give you your shot, Trey, after he shines in training camp. And he goes out there and he's 4-0, or he's 3-1. He's looking good. at that point, I think Trey has proven enough where he can continue to go out there and shine. So again, Trey Lance has a golden opportunity to take this spot, but he has to go out there and beat a motivated Sam Darnold. I think Sam definitely is a guy that is a wild card, and we have to take it seriously. I think David Carr talked about this today. Let's see, where's that? So, where's this at? Let me see. See if I have that one up there. Oh yeah, David Carr says. So this is what David Carr said. He said, that Trey Lance is still unproven in the league, and so you insert Sam Darnold, who I think belongs in the system. I've actually been saying it for the last couple of years. He could be great in a system like this. So there are people that really think that Sam Darnold could come in and actually steal this job. Like he could work in Shanahan's system. Like he's a guy that fits what Shanahan's looking like. Again, Shanahan picks certain players that he likes for his system, and maybe Sam reminds him of Kirk Cousins. Again, this is just in the meantime till Brock comes out. And I feel, again, a lot of people in this league are they're out. They're just kind of like casting out Trey. They're not going to give him his opportunity, and they're going to think that Sam can steal the spot. I don't think he does. I don't think he's good enough to start. But there are a lot of people that think that Sam's going to come in and knock Trey out. What do you guys think? Do you think Trey Lance is going to just crush Darnold this offseason? Do you think Darnold sticks around on this team? Because there was the comment where Kyle said, I want to stick with 2 quarterbacks on this team at the end of the day. But if Brock starts on the injured reserve, obviously you got to take Trey and Sam Darnold. But if Brock Purdy's coming back, will they roll with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance? Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, would they trade Trey Lance? I don't know. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this situation? I've rambled for a few minutes, and I told you, don't sleep on Sam Darnold, as crazy as it sounds. He's going to come in and push Trey. And again, if Trey Lance can't beat out Sam Darnold, it tells you everything you need to know. Let's see. Big Mac, what's up? Slatty says Trey is better than both. Skyflow says, I hope Sam Darnold struggles against our D in training camp. I think most fans do. I think most people want to see Trey win this and show this is why they drafted me. I'm your guy. I think they want to see that. But again, we got to see what happens. First team defense for the 49ers is amazing, right? We got a great first team. A great first team. So Arthur says Darnold can make every throw. Don't sleep on him. If there's a team coaching staff that can unlock his potential, it's the 49ers. And that's what a lot of people think. Because again, Kyle Shanahan hasn't had a quarterback, or not Kyle Shanahan. Sam Darnold hasn't had a quarterback, situation like the 49ers. He hasn't been on a team with, the weapons. He hasn't had CMC and guys. Well, he actually had CMC last year at the beginning of the season, but he wasn't starting. And then he came in when CMC was on the Niners. So he hasn't really had the weapons the 49ers have typically in New York and Carolina. And he hasn't had the coaches, Brian Griese. But again, too, Trey Lance, he really hasn't had CMC. So he still hasn't had that full ability to play with the offensive skill set of the 49ers because of the injury. So that injury to Trey Lance is definitely a big wild card. So Madib says Trey can be this year's Purdy. You never know. 100%. I definitely agree with that. I think he could come in and just really steal the show and show people that he is that man. He's the guy. He's the young quarterback that can take the league by storm. And Kyle said it too. He goes, we feel that Trey could have taken that spot last year and been the guy that won all the games that Purdy did. Unfortunately, he got hurt, and then Purdy came in and he did the damn thing. So, again, injuries are tough, and Trey Lance is in a golden position to rise above. And all he has to do is go out there and beat Sam Darnold. But if Sam Darnold beats Trey Lance, he's starting some games. I hate to think about it, but if Sam Darnold can start games, we better pray that he wins them if he beats Trey Lance. Or if there's an injury. If Trey gets hurt and Brock's not ready, or if he's hurt, then Sam Darnold, he might come in at some games. There's a lot of people that are predicting that he might actually play some games for the 49ers. So Randy says, can someone look up Brock's last 6 games and compare them to Sam's last 6 games? That should be a fair assessment. It might be a semi-fair because Brock Purdy's, some of his last games were in the playoffs. But it is something to kind of take a look at. Let's take a stab at that, right? Let's take a look at Brock Purdy. Let's take a look at his last few games. But again, 2 of them were playoffs, Chance. 2 are playoff games, right? So there's a little bit more weighted that goes into, there's a little bit more weight that goes into those games. So, in my opinion, my humble opinion. So, let's see. Against the Cowboys, Brock Purdy, he was 19 out of 29, 214 yards, and he had no touchdowns thrown, no interceptions, a completion percentage of 65.5, rating of 87.4, QBR of 53.3. Let's see. Seattle, 18 out of 30, 332 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. That was a magical game. He played great. 89.5 QBR, 131.5 rating. I mean, he cooked it against Seattle, right? And that was a playoff game. So you see what I'm saying? Like the weight of that game was amazing. Now these are our last 4 games. Arizona, 15 out of 20, 178 yards. He was three touchdowns, no picks. Obviously, that was the game where we won 38-13. He was very efficient. He didn't have to do much. He didn't have to do much in terms of throwing the ball out, but he was very efficient, cooked it. The Vegas game before that, 22 out of 35, 284 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, a pick. I mean, that was a very fun game. I mean, that was a crazy game-winning drive. So those were his last 4 games. Pretty solid 4 games. Again, 2 of them were playoff games. Sam Darnold, let's take a look at those. And I didn't count the NFC Championship game, obviously, because the vibes. Let's take a look at his last 4 games, right? That they can definitely hold more water. Yeah, you're right. But it is fair. Let's compare them. Let's see. Sam Darnold, last 4 games of last season. And pull those up here real quick. Yeah, Seattle is tough for us. You're right. Seattle's tough, and Brock crushed it in those 4 games. So let's see. Last 4 games of last year for Sam Darnold. It was a win against New Orleans. He was 5 for 15, 43 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That was his last game of the season. They won the game. Obviously, it wasn't on Sam Darnold, so he looked bad. I haven't watched that game yet. I did watch Tampa Bay. I watched the Detroit game. I watched the Pittsburgh game this week. I was watching some film. But yeah, New Orleans, 5 out of 15, 43 yards, 33% completion percentage. That's bad. I don't know if he got injured in that game. Somebody might want to tell me because I didn't watch that game. He was 5 for 15. The game before that, they lost to the Tampa Bay Bucks. They lost 30-24. He was 23 out of 37, 341 yards. He had 3 touchdowns and an interception. He made some nice throws in that game. I do remember that one. He had a rating of 108.1, QBR of 50.3. Pretty solid performance. Unfortunately, he had a pick, but happened. Detroit, they won that game. That was a crazy game. That kind of was the game that took Detroit out of the playoffs. 15 out of 22, 250 yards. He had a touchdown, no interceptions, 121.4 QB rating, 85.9 QBR. Not bad, but it's more telling. You got to watch the clips, watch the film. And then the game before that was Pittsburgh. He lost to the Steelers, 24-16. He was 14 out of 23 for 225 yards, a touchdown, and no interception. So efficient game manager, 108.1 rating, a 47.3 QBR. So nothing crazy. But again, 2 of those games that Brock played were playoff games. And the game against Seattle was just a very, very highly efficiently quarterback game. So obviously, Brock Purdy way ahead of where Sam Darnold was last year. And again, Sam Darnold was playing on a team that was kind of, they were in desperation mode, I guess. Steve Wilkes, interim coach, the team was way, in a weird position last year. But they did finish 4-2 in their last 6 games. So they stepped up and played better. But, I mean, just based on raw stats, Brock Purdy 100% was better. But not terrible. You're right, Randy. It wasn't terrible. There must have been stuff that Kyle saw in that film that he really liked. And again, if you go back, there were some nice throws he made here and there, but there were some really bad picks that he threw. His mistakes, when he makes a mistake, it's very plain and simple. He makes a bad mistake, and it's, like, oh. But again, you're right. People that said Kyle Shanahan, maybe he can fix this guy. And Kyle's got an ego. We know Kyle has an ego. He knows. In his mind, he's like, man, if I can fix this guy, I'm going to puff my chest out and look like a legend. So Ryu says, problem is with Trey's inexperience, and you can only get better with experience. He doesn't have enough time to catch up. I feel like a lot of people have this sentiment that Trey, he's inexperienced. He needs the reps. And again, that goes back to why a lot of people are saying you can't take away those reps from Trey. You can't give the first team reps to Sam. And to an extent, that's a good point. That's a good true point. But again, you want to make sure you insulate this team for injury because you don't want to get any injuries. That would be very scary. With what happened last year, we got PTSD as Niner fans. But you're absolutely right. Trey Lance needs the reps. He needs the time. And even Kyle said it's going to be hard to steal the quarterback job starting spot because practice, training camp, that's one thing. You got to play the game. He's got to go out there and win football games. If he beats Sam Darnold in the playoffs, in the preseason, in the offseason, he's got to go out there and win games. That's it. He does. He has to go out there and win. So, Ryu says it's possible Sam can win the job. There we go. Some people think so. Supreme, it's a good question. Says, what if Trey goes 4-1 in 5 games? Do you roll with Brock when Brock is 100%? Supreme, this question is great. I think if he's 4-1, you got to keep letting Trey go. He's proven to you that he can win, and that's what Kyle wants. He wants Trey to prove he can take this team and win. And if you pull Trey and you put Brock in there after he goes 4-1 in a 5-game stretch, that tells you everything you need to know about where they stand with the quarter. They truly, truly are moving away from Trey. And at that point, you trade his ass because that's good film for him. That's great to show teams like, yo, he was 4-1, but we're pulling the plug. We're going with Brock Purdy. That would be very controversial if Trey Lance and the 49ers are setting themselves up for a very controversial run next year. They really are because, again, Trey Lance comes in and he takes Sunny Delight, whatever you want to call it, takes him to the blender and he starts and he goes off on a win streak and they pull him. That's going to make for some good content. I tell you what. So we'll see how it goes. But, I'm ready for this competition. I want to see both of them give it their all. I hope Sam Darnold pushes Trey and Trey comes out and just crushes the competition and says, hey, look at me. I'm that guy. I want him to. I want Trey Lance to come out and, put the foot down, put the foot on the gas and rip it up, man. So, Slatty says, I will officially be a Kyle hater if that happens. I think a lot of people would be upset if that happens. Randy says, thanks. Those comparisons are very telling. Trey just had to perform somewhat in the middle of those numbers. That's a good point, too. He does have to at least, he has to do better than that. You can't come out and play down to where, Sam was because you got to play better than that. You got to show that you're at least close to where Brock was. And your third year. Again, I get it because he didn't get to rehab, or he has to rehab, and it's hard for him to work on developing his game. And that's the tough thing about these injuries with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. The thing about them is and especially with Brock, because I love Brock, but it's not like he's going to, because a lot of people say he's 23, he's going to start, he's going to get better, he's going to get better, he's going to get better. Right now, his focus is rehab, trying to come back from this injury and just to be able to play. And somewhat, in a sense, that's kind of where Trey Lance is. He wants to make sure he's healthy enough to get back on the field. And then he'll worry about getting better, improving his game, reading the defense, because that's going to come in training camp. And I'm sure he's working on that, but he's also making sure he's rehabbing his injury and making sure he's ready to be in game shape. And it's a tough situation for these two quarterbacks, Trey and Brock. So Sam kind of has a little edge on those guys in the terms of he's healthy. He doesn't have any injury holding him back. He's working on his game. He's working on the small things, reading film, watching film, improving his game in terms of being able to read the defense, learning the offense. He's got to figure this offense out. He's got to check out Kyle Shanahan's playbook and put it in, download it into his brain, and then improve himself. He's got a different disadvantage. He's got to learn this offense where Trey Lance and Brock, they've been exposed to this offense a little longer. They've had the playbook more. Sam Darnold's got to catch up, but he's not hurt. He doesn't have to worry about making sure he could be on the field and play. Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, they do. They do. We don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be back 100%. We don't know if Trey Lance is going to be back, and be the same. Is Trey going to be as mobile as he was before? Broken ankle. Ain't nothing to play with. Be able for all three quarterbacks to be healthy, the 49ers to fix the O-line. They need to. I feel like they've done a pretty good job in terms of improving the O-line. I think everybody's just worried about Colton McKivitz. I don't think a lot of people believe he's the starter right tackle. We'll see. I think they've added some O-linemen that could help them because they got John Feliciano and why can't I think of Matt Pryor? Sorry. They're not like elite linemen. They're not like, oh my God, big moves. Feliciano's not bad, but they're both big guys. They're like lumberjacks. They're like big old dudes. They're some big old dudes. And I think because of that, that's going to help, add a wall to them. It's going to be depth. The 49ers look like they're moving towards a different type of blocker. Usually they have those quick guys, the more athletic guys that can go out there and they're quick on their feet for the zone blocking scheme. But I feel like once they got Aaron Banks, they kind of changed them a little. Aaron Banks he's a bigger guy. He's a mauler. He slimmed down a little bit. I mean, he got his body in shape. Obviously, he's been in the weight room now for 2, going on to his 3rd year. But Aaron Banks was a different type of blocker than they usually have, and I feel like they're doing that. They're adding these bigger guys. Look at Philadelphia; those guys were just the monsters. So I feel like the 49ers are adding some better O linemen. Again, I think the biggest question mark and why people are worried is the right tackle spot. It always has been that right tackle spot. I feel like Colton McKivitz is their guy, and if he pans out, it's a huge dub. Huge dub. But you're absolutely right. They have to protect the quarterback, whoever it is. So, Skyflow. I want to watch Trey in the preseason. Oh, I think we all do. Slatty says, is Purdy going to be able to throw farther than Jimmy? I don't think so. I mean, if you watch this offense, though, they don't need to throw the ball that far. I mean, they got the Yak brothers. The only guy that really needs someone to get him the ball a little bit further, he wants to catch the long balls as BA. And if they use Danny Gray, right? Danny Gray. But Brandon Ayuk's the guy. He wants them to, dime him up a little bit farther. Purdy's got a decent arm, but nothing crazy. Again, we're going to see if he has the arm strength. That if he keeps at least the same arm strength after this injury, it's going to be a wild card. We all know Trey's got the pretty deep pass, but it's not all about the deep pass in Kyle's offense. It's the intermediate pass. It's reading those, those first reads and making your progressions down. Boom, check down. You got the screens. You got the motion plays. You got the, the slant to Debo. So it's not just about the deep pass. It would be nice to have the threat of it because it makes play action a little bit more dangerous. But it's not just about the deep pass. Adib said, who's going to be right tackle? Again, my prediction, gun to my head, boom, Colton McKivitz. Yeah, I wish we had another Trent Williams on the right side, Supreme. So, Lothar says, what's up, Raj? Over, under, Hargrave, 10 sacks. I'm going to say just exactly 10 sacks. I'm going to push. I don't think he gets 9. I don't think he gets 11. I think he goes right at 10 sacks. Double digit for the monster in the middle. That's my opinion. So, I can't wait for Hargrave, man. God, I'm so excited to see Javon Hargrave go crazy with the 49ers. It's going to be fun. That was the biggest move. Randy says, is Trent's replacement in this draft? Ooh, good question. If they trade up into the second round, maybe. They might be able to get a guy that's like really good. There's some really good linemen this year's draft, but if they trade up, yeah. Maybe they get a guy that they can really put on that line to be a quality starter and potentially could take over for Trent. It's going to be interesting if they go that route, but I don't know. That is a good question, Randy. I don't know if they're going to take Trent's successor this year. They just very well may. And again, if Colton McKivitz looks great, then that's another dub because then you can maybe move Spencer Burford to right tackle and then try to tinker with Colton McKivitz at left tackle. I don't know. That's a very, very tough question to answer right now. That's so many variables because I think Trent Williams after this year might hang it up, depending. He's battled through so much. He had the cancer. He, played over a decade in the NFL. He's just been beasting it up, and eventually he's going to wear down. So that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe they take a guy. I want them to take a big-time offensive lineman in the draft. So I would love it because we do need to make sure this offensive line is just filthy. Because, again, we want to make sure we have the best line not only for this year but the future. You got to be 10 steps ahead. Trent Williams would be a huge loss for us, and it's going to happen one day. We lost Joe Staley, and thank God, luckily, somehow, we went from Joe Staley to Trent Williams. Ryu says, to be honest, do you think we win the championship? None of this getting close crap? That's the question, right? Everybody wants to. I mean, it's okay to be close. I know a lot of people are frustrated because we're just getting so close and we're always in the mix and we're just like knocking on the door. I think we can, but they got to figure out this damn quarterback situation. They've improved the defense. You got Javon Hargrave. I mean, you got Bosa. You got this guy's entering his prime. Like, you got some great players, man. And the NFC on paper, we're probably still the best team in the NFC. Really, just don't have a freaking quarterback right now. I mean, we have Trey Lance. We don't know what we're getting out of him. You got the wild card, Sam Darnold. I don't know. I don't think Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, but with this team, maybe can he win games? I don't know. And then Brock Purdy, he's the wild card too. Will he be back? Will he be the same? Will he be the same Brock Purdy? Will teams figure him out? Will teams figure out Brock Purdy? I don't know, man. I think we can. I think we have a very good chance of getting to the Super Bowl in the NFC. Like, I'm not scared of the NFC, but injuries happen. You got to hope the quarterback situation stabilizes. I mean, I think we have a good chance of getting all the way, but man, they've been to 3 NFC championships in 4 years. 4 out of 5. It's hard, man. Eventually the numbers catch up to you. So I don't know, man. I want to say yes, but the quarterback situation's been holding us back for years and years and years. You know, Ramelia, the Rams Sports Report says the champ is here. No, the champ is talking to you, my boy. Yeah, Randy. Trent needs to go out with the ring. They need to win a Super Bowl ring for a lot of these players. Specifically Trent, man. That guy's a beast. Lothar says, I wish we could get our hands on DeJuan Jones. Oh, man, he would be nice. Supreme, how many sacks for Drake Jackson? I think he can get a nice 6 sacks. I think he'll go to 6. I think he'll take a big leap this year. He should have a lot of pressures, and hopefully he can turn those pressures into sacks. He's got to get his body in great position to be able to last the full season. I think at least 6. You know, you replace Omenahu and Ebukam and those guys, they were getting about 4 or 5 sacks. So I think a 6-sack season for Drake Jackson is not out of the way, you know, for a second-year player. I think 6. Let's see. Any more questions here? We'll take a few more questions. I mean, there's not a lot much to talk about tonight, obviously, because the big news of the week is over. Let's see if we missed anything. Obviously, players are working out. It's good to see them grinding, man, just tearing it up. Players are in workout mode this season. I love when they are. Yesterday, I don't know if we mentioned this, but George Kittle, not a fan of the extra Thursday night football game for teams. Where they voted teams can have 2 Thursday night football games. I'm not either. I hate the Thursday night games. I feel like it just adds too much stress on a player. But a lot of people are like, oh, well, they get paid a lot of money. They should play. Who cares? It sucks, man. I hate to see these players get hurt, and they need time. They need time to recuperate from their injuries. So I'm not a fan of it either. Do I think we'll trade a future first again in this draft, says Randy. Depends if there's someone they really want. I don't think they trade a future first round unless they're going after like a monster move name, but I feel like they've made all their big splashes. I think they're out of splashes. I mean, it'd be surprising. They went and got Hargrave. They went and got CMC last year. You got to pay Bosa. I don't think so. I don't think they trade a future first rounder. Maybe they'll hold it to see what happens next year, but I don't think they'll trade any futures. I do think they'll trade up in the draft. I do think they'll move up and, see what they can find, in the draft, because I feel like this Niner team, they're kind of set. They have a lot of veterans. They have a lot of players that they brought in to be depth players to replace the depth players. So I feel like they might just trade up. They have 11 picks in the draft. I don't see them ending up with 11 draft picks. I feel they're going to leave the draft with about 7, maybe 8 players, 7 players. So they'll trade up a few spots to move around. We'll see. Ramelia, I appreciate you. Look at that. We got a respect. She says, I respect you a lot, Rod. You put in work. I appreciate you, Ramelia, even though you're on the other side of the fence. But see, that's how it's got to be. It's nice to be respected. Slatty says, W Live, Raj, Trey Area. I love Trey, man. I want to see him get his chance. But even when Kyle said it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard for Trey. And I feel like I don't know, man, they don't give him the stamp of approval. I've said this many times. Don't give him the stamp of approval. They're just like, oh, well, Trey, he's going to come back. He's got a chance to compete. I don't know, man. I feel weird that they say that. But again, injury, big injury. But it's weird because he lost his job to a big injury. So now Brock Purdy, are they going to keep the same energy if Trey Lance comes in and crushes it? They got to keep the same energy, right? Right? We'll see. Supreme, will the 49ers get another kicker in the draft? I absolutely think they do. If they don't, I'll be surprised. I will say 90% chance the 49ers will get another kicker in this draft. They said it that Zane Gonzalez is not the kicker. He's a kicker. He's a kicker. He's not the kicker. I think they'll get a kicker in this draft. But yeah, I think so. Randy says 6 to 7 picks would be great. We have a lot of chips to play with. Going to be a fun draft. I agree. Want to see some Trey throwing sessions? Yeah, so do I. I know he's out there throwing and working and grinding from things I've heard. Kyle said it. Trey's people that train with him, they've mentioned it to me. I've DM'd him. There, yeah, he's training. I was like, you got that, you got the content, my boy. I ain't got it for you. I was like, all right, just let me know. Slide it through when you get it. But no, I know Trey's out there working his ass off. Dude, I can't wait till we get to see some. But I think he wants to make sure everything's right before he puts it out there for the world, because people are going to be nitpicking it, breaking it down. So Val says, what quarterback you think they're drafting? Whoo, good question. That's a good question. I know they're going to be drafting one. Maybe DTR from UCLA, a kid from Stanford. I mean, obviously, Stanford and the Niners, they go hand to hand. Who else? There's that. Oh man, I know a lot of people mentioned Sterling or Stetson Bennett. Maybe they get Stetson Bennett. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft that I could see them taking. I think they are going to draft a quarterback, whether Sam Darnold is still on the roster, whether whoever wins that job. I think they're going to get a quarterback just to at least make sure they have someone for preseason and training camp, right? Because preseason, you're going to have Trey Lance going out there, you're going to have Sam Darnold going out there battling it out, and then in the fourth quarter of those games, you're going to have a third quarterback. So I think they will draft a quarterback. So I don't know. Who do you guys think the 49ers would draft? You think they're drafting a quarterback? I think they will. I think they are. 100%. I don't think that quarterback makes the final roster or maybe makes the practice squad, but I see them at least getting an undrafted quarterback. So will the 49ers last pick draft another quarterback just in case? It might not be the last pick, Supreme, but I think they're going to get a quarterback. I really do. I think they are. I really do. There's a lot of quarterbacks that make sense for this team, but kid from Stanford, I mean, obviously, that's where John Lynch recruits. He goes there every year, and I'm sure he would take a look at that spot. So, yeah, I do think they'll take a quarterback, but we'll see. There's a lot of names out there, a lot of names, but we'll really see. I think once 2 weeks kind of comes before NFL draft, they'll kind of start narrowing it down. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Any other questions? Again, this is just quick live, just short. I wanted to hop on here real quick, talk to you guys, and ask you, do you think Sam Darnold can actually start for the 49ers? Do you think so? Do you think so? Do you get the vibe that Sam Darnold might be Kyle's secret weapon here? Do you think that Kyle Shanahan wants Sam Darnold? Or is he just trying to push Trey Lance? Is he just trying to motivate Trey? Is he just trying to motivate Trey? Maybe Trey needs motivation, and Kyle said, hey, we'll get Sam Darnold. Or does he really think he could turn around Sam Darnold's career? Do you think Kyle Shanahan thinks he could turn that man's career around and start some games with them? I don't know. Mealy Rock says, hell no. Hell no. Sam Darnold, hell no. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Val says the quarterback they draft beats out Darnold. Ooh. That happened last year. Brock Purdy, he beat out Nate Sudfeld, the guy they brought in. Paid him $2 million. And Brock Purdy beat him out. And he was QB3. Woo. Crazy. Supreme, appreciate you. It's my pleasure. Yeah, I love to update the Niner fans. You guys are the best. Niner fans are honestly the best. It's a fun community. We get very emotional. I love it. Hell no. I love that. Hell no. Sam Darnold. I don't know, man. I want to see what Sam's got in. I want to see what Kyle saw in Sam Darnold. I really want to see. I'm hyped up for this training camp battle, man. But let me know what you guys think. Sam Darnold, Trey Lance. Drop it in the comments after the live post. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I will take one more question here. We'll end it tonight. It's a little late, It is what it is. Mealy says, "I just can't see it." It would be weird, but you can't. This team is just, you never know. They're full of surprises, man. They're full of surprises. But again, if Trey Lance is the guy that we think he's supposed to be, he should be able to go out there and make Sam Darnold look like mincemeat. He should be able to. He should be able to. But you got to realize, remember, Trey Lance is not just coming in to show he's better, to show he's the guy. He's also coming off a major injury. That's something I don't think a lot of people are thinking about. This is a big, big, big season for Trey. This is kind of make or break for him on the 49ers. And it's tough, man. I feel for Trey, man. This is a very frustrating situation he must be in. But I mean, you can't hate Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy came in and he just like wowed us all. It was like, whoa, where did this guy come from? Yeah, much love to this team. It's gonna be a fun quarterback situation there, man. Mad says, "Is Lenore a starter in this league? You damn straight. He's starting this year, cornerback too. Diamador Lenore, man, he doesn't get enough respect from Niner fans. I love Diamador. You know me. It's my guy, Lockdown Lenny. I think he's definitely going to be a very good starter this year. Year 3 in the league. He took a nice little leap last year, especially in the playoffs. I think Diamador is going to show that he is a starter in this league. I think so, man. I like it. I think Lenore is going to be a very pleasant surprise. I think so. Matthew Dimes. Randy, I want the Trey NDSU jersey. Ooh, that jersey's nice. I know someone that has it. It's amazing. She got it for a Christmas gift 2 years back. That thing is fresh. I'm jealous. I need to steal it from her. We'll see. Let's see. Yeah, that jersey's nice. The Trey. I need to get college jerseys. I need to get me some college jerseys. I have the Christian McCaffrey college jersey. I love it. I need to get a few more players like college jerseys. That's pretty cool. It's pretty sweet to rock their college jersey. Maybe a Debo, South Carolina with the 1. Oh, God, that'd be nice. The Debo, you know what? I might get a Debo college jersey. That's what I need to get next. Oof. God, that'd be nice. The Uno 1. The Uno 1. He was like the Uno captain. That used to be his handle on social media. Uno captain. I remember those days. Man, that'd be a sweet jersey. That'd be a dope jersey. Woo. That'd be nice. So you guys have any more questions? Any last minute words? Any last few things here? And then we'll wrap it up. Wrap it up for tonight. It was easy, quick show. It was a long day today. Kinlaw's College. Vermilia, you funny, man. Kinlaw's College jersey, dog. Let's stop it. Did y'all see? I think Wayne Breezy wrote the article that he expects Kinlaw to have a breakout season. I was like, come on, man. He just needs to make the starting roster. He just needs to make the roster. Going live on IG tonight. I was live a little earlier. Probably not. I'm tired today. It's been a long day, man. Greedy Greg. My man, what's up, Greedy? What's up, man? He says, "Yo, Raj, with that said, shouldn't Trey be ahead with being 3 years into Kyle's offense?" So that's a good point. That's fucking funny, dude. Hold on. That's funny. What's the funniest thing Ramelia said? Yo, shout out to Ramelia. You're welcome in the chat. This is a good question. He goes, because Trey Lance has had now that he's in his 3rd year in the league, shouldn't he be ahead? And I absolutely 100% agree. He should be ahead of Sam Darnold, right? He should be ahead because this is his 3rd year. And that's what one thing I mentioned is Sam Darnold hasn't even played in this offense yet. He hasn't even learned. He's probably right now studying his plays. He's at home. He's looking at them. What? XY Y9 slant right. What? Okay. He's learning the language. And then he's turning on the film. He's looking at the film, studying the film. He's in class right now. And then he's gonna go out there and practice his throwing and all that stuff. But he's putting it all together. Trey Lance, yes, he should be ahead in terms of knowing the offense. But again, he hasn't really had a lot of time to execute it because he's been kind of still developing on this team. So in a sense, yeah, he does have a little bit of edge up on the competition. But you got to remember, Trey Lance is coming off a major injury, so he's not really focusing 100% on that part of the game. He's focusing on making sure his body's right to be on the field. So once training camp comes and he's 100% cleared and healthy, then yeah, he might be able to take that step and learn those nuances of the game. Obviously, I'm sure he's studying the film, he's studying the playbook. Like that's something Trey's doing, and he has a bigger grasp. But for him to go out there and get better on this scheme, he's still not there in terms of being able to do it. Because right now, when he's out on the field practicing and rehabbing, he's more getting his body in position to just be on the football field. So it's a little different. They're both in way different like areas in where they're coming into on this team. It's very interesting because again, Sam he doesn't know the offense. So right now he's just trying to absorb it all, be a sponge, figure it out, watch the film. Trey's watching film, trying to figure out how to implement this offense in his mind. And then when he goes out there, he's rehabbing, and rehab's a lot different recovery than training yourself. So rehab is so much different than going out there and training, to be a quarterback and do those things. It's so different. It's such a different mindset. But that's a good question. I think Trey wears an ankle brace. He might wear something initially when he's first out there. I would suggest it. I would suggest he wears something to give him some stability when he's out there on the field. That's a great question, Skyflow. I think he should. I think he will. Supreme says a BA Arizona State jersey. Oh, now we're cooking. Forks up. Let's go. Greedy says the way Brock took control of the offense when he slid into the lineup. That right there. That is why Brock Purdy won the job. That is it right there, my boy. Like all week, people are trying to sit here and it's what we've been trying to say is the reason Brock took that job is it wasn't just because he won 8 games. It wasn't just because he looked poised. He was a damn leader. He took control of the offense, man. He took control of the offense. That's 100% because that is why Trey Lance still isn't the start. He hasn't shown the leadership. You knocked it out of the park, Greg. He hasn't shown that he's the leader of this team. When Brock came in, he came in like looking like a 10-year vet, yelling at Trent Williams, yelling at these players like, go get up, be for real, go line up, here's the play, let's go, leading them. And they was having fun doing it, yelling at Trent Williams. That's a good point, Greg. That is it, 100%. That right there. Love it. Yeah, Val, he said he told him to shut up in the huddle. Bro, I'm trying to call the plays. I need you to shut up. That's the leader. Woo! Greg, that's it. That's the point. Good point, Greg. Trey should, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's going to be great either way. If Trey rises and he succeeds, it's going to be an amazing story. This team's always full of good stories. You ain't have to disrespect my boy, say he took notes. No, it's not disrespect, Slatty. He should have taken notes. I hope he did. Because if he wants to win this job, it's not disrespect. It's just telling you like it is. Like, dog, Trey, we want you to succeed. We want you to be the man. We want you to, but go make sure that you saw what Brock did. And I know he did, because when he was talking to Rich Eisen last month, he said it. He goes, y'all saw what Brock did. He was a baller. It was amazing. So I know Trey. He saw that. He's like, okay, that's what I got to do. Obviously, he knows he has to do something different than what he did in the past because he wasn't given the starting job. When Brock Purdy goes out there and he shined the way he did and he was awarded the job, obviously in Trey's mind, he's got to go, well, what the hell did I do or what didn't I do? So it's a good way. It's constructive criticism. And to be successful in anything you do, in any job, any industry, especially athletes, you got to have constructive criticism, because there will be people, your coaches, your peers, they're going to tell you, you can do better, you can do this better, you can do that. And it depends on how you respond to it. You can sit there and sulk and stomp your feet in the ground, or you can say, all right, bet, I'm going to learn it, and I'm going to be better than you think I can, and you're going to silence the haters. It's up to Trey to seize control, silence the haters. So that's it. And with that, we'll call it a night. You guys have a good one, man. Appreciate y'all for the time. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. And have a good rest of your night. Take care. I'll see you soon. I'll probably be live for a little bit tomorrow. I'll be out of town this weekend. So love y'all. Have a good one. Appreciate y'all. Bang bang. Not again.